It is April 16th. Geoff Schwartz, Matt Ford, Gabe Goodwin, Hank Groberg. Geoff Schwartz is smarter than you. Mock Draft Extravaganza. It's our favorite show of the entire year. We're all together, just like the real draft. A week from today, we're going to take 8 minutes between our picks. We're going to analyze everything that we have going forward. No, we're not. We're going to do this as fast as possible, as usual. All of us have put in hours of research, and we're ready to go. Matt, how are we feeling about this? Is your favorite episode we do all year?
It's the best. I've been working really hard. Dylan Thieneman, Vega Ioane. I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do this thing. How are you guys doing?
We're
Gabe?
great. I made an executive decision around here. In order to keep things moving and to prioritize who gets mic time, I've provided us one microphone between the two of us. So Hank will only speak when I pass him the talking stick.
Oh, the
Rest
best
assured,
place to
ad
be.
reads.
We'll get a second microphone in there.
And given that Mr. Groberg is a sizable percentage of our audience, I think he will also thank us for keeping his son quiet.
He is our number one listener. Thank you for listening to the show. We're going to do like we normally do. We're going to go through the entirety of the draft. We're each going to have our picks. Hank has laid that out for us. I think we had sort of picking for our favorite teams as well. So Hank did give you, Matt, the Commanders there at 7. Trades, I don't know. We say no every year. Gabe makes a trade no matter what. So we're gonna have a trade here. Let's just get started with the easiest one because we'll just get out of the way. Mendoza's going 1 to the Raiders. I know they've said that they're fielding phone calls. I don't know. I don't think they are. Maybe teams are calling just to see, but Mendoza goes number 1. And the draft to me starts at number 2 because it could go many different directions. There could be trades. There could be just sort of off the wall picks. There's not going to be a lot of guys with great first round grades. There's only a couple generational players, in my opinion, in this draft. Gabe, you get to draft for your New York Jets here.
Yeah.
Are the New York Jets bat with the second pick of the draft?
Okay, so I say this every year that we do this. Obviously, the Jets should trade this pick because they won't do the right thing with it, so they might as well get some value for it and hand it over to someone else who has a better chance of benefiting. They will not benefit. But I don't actually think anyone wants this second pick for all the reasons you sort of just alluded to, Jeff. So I think the Jets actually do something that sort of makes sense and realize you'll never get another interception again unless you put more pressure on the quarterback. The best way to do that is my guy, Arvell Reese at Ohio State. So he's going number 2 overall. Jeff, you can explain why this guy's great.
Yeah.
I just think he's the no-brainer pick for the Jets at 2.
So Reese is a hybrid off the ball linebacker pass rusher, sort of Micah Parsons light. He's not Micah Parsons, so don't confuse that. But the idea is he's potentially graded as the best defensive player in this draft. You just get him on your team, and you figure it out later. I could see the Jets going for Bailey at 2 because they know he's a known pass rusher right now. But this pick is Reese or Bailey. That's it. Like, I don't think there's any other thing they're going to do here at 2. It's Reese or Bailey. I don't think you're wrong in any direction, but I could see the Jets going with just we know this guy's the pass rusher. We're taking Bailey. Reese is a fantastic player. He's listed number 1 on NFL.com, highest grade by far, by the way. Like, not close. There's no one close to him as well. So great football player. Matt, you are next here for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I think the choice for the Cardinals is a lot like the choice for the Jets. There's been a lot of talk about maybe they go with offensive line, but I'm going to go ahead and give the Cardinals David Bailey. Last year, they only had, let's see, their leading sack guy last year was Josh Sweat, 12 sacks, but their next guy had 6.5. That was Calais Campbell. So they have a lot of work to do. There's positional value with the edge rusher. So I feel like they just take David Bailey and improve their defense right away.
This is a trade opportunity for Arizona, I think. Do you guys pay attention to the mock drafts that come out from the respective people? I do, at least, even though they end up not being that accurate. When someone put out a tweet showing the last mock drafts of the 3 best mock drafters, and after pick 5, it's a disaster, which we all know. It's not a surprise. But the mock drafts came out this week had the Cowboys trading up to draft a defender, whether it was to 6, whether it was to 3. It does feel like the Cowboys are going to trade up here. And if Bailey's available, it would not surprise me if they called up to Arizona and asked for the 3rd pick. Arizona gets another first-round pick next season, and they draft and they draft Bailey here. I'll leave the Tennessee Titans here to Hank. What do we got?
All right. The consensus here is Jeremiah Love. I think that would be the most exciting pick. Never in my lifetime have the Titans been exciting. So I think we go with Sonny Styles, partly because Rob Saleh, new head coach, he knows he's going to be judged by the strength of his defense. And then second, like what Styles did at the combine, I think it's the type of performance that makes a guy fly up the draft, maybe go a little earlier than they should.
So I love that. I love how you put that. Off the ball linebacker feels back now in the NFL. By the way, this would pick would make that 6'5", like 240, incredible athlete. Does feel like maybe the surefire, like good right away type of player in this draft at the top of the draft. Hank mentioned something. I'll give Hank credit here. Something very smart. In year one,
let's start a tracker, a counter for this. That's one.
With a new coach in year one, they have to nail their side of the ball, right? So last year, like Ben Johnson nailed offense, and this year they're going to fix the defense. Robert Saleh's got to nail the defense in year one, and he can work to fix Cam Ward in year one too. But you got to get your defense right. Otherwise, this is my argument against Aaron Glenn. Like the Jets their defense was terrible. He's a defensive coach. How do you not get the defense right in your first year? So opting for a defensive guy here makes sense. I believe I am next for the Giants. I think with the options here, they're going to draft Jeremiah Love at 5 if he's available.
Whoa.
I just think that, I think that it's either him or Caleb Downs. And here's the reason why. I think Love and Downs, in most people's opinions, are, I know I mentioned Reese as the highest rated guy like at NFL.com, but I think people view Love and Downs as like the two can't miss players of this draft. And I think the Giants could definitely draft Downs here. But Love to pair with Dart, and Harbaugh just had Derrick Henry. I feel like he saw that was important to them in that offense. I think they take Love here. It's Love or Downs. Like if you're in the spot right here, and these are the two options, I think it's Love or Downs. I'll take Love here.
Interesting choice. A lot of people have said Styles is on their radar. It seemed like a month ago that was going to be the pick, but now it's definitely shifting. Interesting. I think it sounds like the Cowboys were maybe looking to move up to maybe get ahead of them to take, I guess, Downs, or maybe it would be Styles. I don't know, but it seems like the Giants pick is on everyone's radar.
It does feel like the Cowboys would trade up for one of like Styles or Bailey. That feels like who they would do. So if Styles makes it to 6 or 7, I think that's a possibility.
So I have both the Cowboys picks in here, and with Gabe up here for the Browns, we've talked about doing a trade up where the Cowboys would move up into this spot. However, in true Cowboys fashion, we're going to talk about it and we're not going to actually do it. So Gabe, run the clock here with the Browns.
Well, I don't ever want to talk about the Browns, so I'd like to stick with the Giants for one more second before I make my pick as the Browns. Thank you very much for giving me the Browns. Geoff, do you think... I feel like Giants fans are still scarred from what they witnessed in Hard Knocks a couple of years ago. Do you think that Jeremiah Love being on the board means the owner knocks on Shane's door and says, you know what to do here, don't screw it up like you did with Saquon? Like, do you think that that's part of the dynamic?
I think it could be part of them. I also do think that he knocks on John Harbaugh's door, not Joe Shane's door. I think this is Harbaugh's team.
That's a good point.
And I think this is Harbaugh's decision. And that would lead me to believe that look, and again, we saw Kyle Hamilton, the importance he had in the defense for the Ravens. Like I think that Downs or Love, I think it's a tough discussion for them. But I think the ownership could go and be like, you're taking the running back. We saw what the running back did for the Eagles after he left. We saw what Barkley did when he was healthy here. Give me the running back. Possible.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm now officially drafting as the Browns?
Yes, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, I think it goes without saying then that we as the Browns organization rightfully have a lot of confidence in our ability to draft. We picked a Pro Bowler out of the 5th round last year. I don't think that we need to get too crazy in the first round. This is a pick we see other teams coveting, but we know we can find gold in later rounds. So we did take that call from the Cowboys. We did consider it, but then they stopped picking up when we called back. So we're sitting here thinking to ourselves, we've got the Pro Bowl quarterback. We don't seem to have very many weapons. It seems like it'd be a fun thing to keep this guy in state. So we are going with Carnell Tate out of Ohio State to be a playmaking wide receiver for us and be part of our future.
2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks last season, by the way, for the Browns.
Good point. Thank you.
Deshaun Watson's going to start for them this year, I think. He hasn't played in like 6 seasons. Like he hasn't been good in 6 years. I think it's 6 years. Kind of crazy.
It's gonna go fine.
Matthew, your Commanders.
I gotta be honest. If this is how it shakes out, I'll be pretty happy because I think there's a world. I think the Commanders, if they were to have the first pick, it would probably be between Styles and Reese, right? Like they would want like a freak athlete that fits sort of like the Quinn
Right.
Peters model. If it shakes out like this and they don't have a shot at Love, they can't then say like, well, we do need another wide receiver in Tate. I think they go with just the best guy, and that's Caleb Downs. I think having like sort of the quarterback of the defense. They've Quinn has talked a little bit about maybe switching the green dot away from the middle linebacker and just somebody who's on the field, which I think is kind of interesting. And if that's the case, Caleb Downs fits all the boxes, would be probably the best defender on the team by the time he walks in the door. What do you think of that? And Hank, your thoughts too.
I think no one has this mocked down to the Commanders. This is great because this is the reason why during draft season you need to read all the individual like team blogs that talk about their teams because they have this information that like national media members might not really have about the individual teams. Like this is a pick where I think no one has, but to Matt's point, like he wants to switch to green dots. You want a safety who's going to play every snap. Like you don't get this information from a lot of places. So look, Downs again, him and Jeremiah Love feel like the two players that people like the most. And even though positional value would tell you not to take a safety here, I think this guy, no one cares. I think that's sort of the consensus right now about him, that they just don't care that he plays a position that people don't view out because he's that good. So improving the defense, got to do if you're Washington. I like this kind of out of nowhere. This is a pick no one has.
Geoff, I want to stay on that. You mentioned positional value for a second. Like in our first 7 picks here, we had a running back go, we had a safety, we had an off-ball linebacker, and maybe even 2 off-ball linebackers, depending on how some people view Arvell Reese. Like it feels like in this draft, people are ignoring positional value. Do you think that's a mistake, or is that just the reality of the players? Like, what's the deal here?
I think in this draft, there's not a lot of guys that have grades that are so much different than everyone else. And everyone's graded about the same at the top of the draft. And so you're just taking like the best player to fit your need rather than just taking the best player, if that makes sense, right? Like they're just the offensive linemen this year, for example, we haven't drafted any of them yet. Maybe we'll draft one here, maybe we'll draft one not. I don't know when they're going to go. I think 11 maybe with Miami. Like the offensive linemen, for example, they're the top 2 guys, presumably, Mawinoga and Fano, are going to play guard in the NFL. Like you're not drafting a guard 7. Give me Caleb Downs. Like give me a guy like that, right? Like it just feels like this is the reason why this year there's just not a lot of quarterbacks. The offensive linemen are fine, but not like elite level guys, right? A lot of you don't view them that way. So just give me the elite guy in Styles. Like give me the elite guy in Reese. Give me the guy in Caleb Downs who has those athletic traits. That's what I think it comes down to in this draft. It's different than we're going to see next year when like 7 quarterbacks go in the first round.
Yeah, and then just my thoughts on the Commanders pick real fast. Like Caleb Downs as an 18-year-old was the best player on Nick Saban's defense. Like let's not mess this one up, Commanders. Let's take the guy who's going to be the best player we've had on defense in a long time with respect to John Allen and Ryan Kerrigan. You know, let's clean up our back end and let's get Quan Martin off the field. Like less snaps for that person, please.
I like Commanders over, I think, 7.5. I think I'm trending that direction for this season. Yeah, I think I'm trending that direction. All right, you have the Saints. What do you got?
Yeah, so it feels like the Saints never really do this, but I'm going to take the fun player out of LSU, which is the cornerback Mansour Delane. Now, I do think there's a conversation to be had about Mansour Delane versus the second corner in this class, which is Jermond McCoy from Tennessee. He didn't play all of last year. I think it was an ACL tear, but he came and tested at the Tennessee Pro Day and had the one thing that Mansour Delane is missing, which was like a very fast 40 time. Jermond's also longer and more physically gifted. I think they would go with the player who played this season. Just I think the injury flag would be enough to push Jermond down a little bit. But I'm willing to flop on that pick, Geoff, if you disagree there.
I want the Chiefs to get 9, so I definitely think that you improve your secondary. Look, you need 3 corners, right? You need 3 corners, and so again, this is where you get back to like the draft board. The reason why you work so hard in creating a grading system and grading the guys because you get to this pick right here, right? And if you're the Saints, you probably wanted Tate, and he's gone. So are you going to overdraft Tyson? You overdraft Lemon? No, just take the best player who's on your board, and it's Delane. Like just do it. Like that feels like where this at. And I have Kansas City at 9, and you're sitting there at 9. Tate's gone, Delane's gone. Ruben Bain, come on down. Like that's that's the next guy. You know, like it's kind of simple, right? If Bain's gone, you take Delane, right? If Delane and Bain are gone, you take Tate. Like that feels like a very easy pick for the Chiefs. So I got the Chiefs taking Remaining. Look, the arm length thing is would make him an outlier. I get it. But I think Spags finds a way to make, and they need pass rush. Like there's no choice. They're not drafting offensive line here. They're not, McCoy's coming off that knee injury. They're not reaching for McCoy, in my opinion. So I got Bain here for the Chiefs at 9. Makes a lot of sense. They need pass rush, and they get it here at 9. The Bengals at 10, Gabe, you have interesting, because I think they would have loved for Bain or Downs to be available, and they're not in this spot. So Bengals are sitting at 10. You have the Bengals.
Obviously, I could go on and on and on about what the Bengals should do and what their front office is thinking about and what both sides of the ball, the coordinators in Cincinnati, are looking for. People don't need to hear that from me. They've heard me give those types of takes before. So I'm going to go with the very tried and true theory here, which is that if you have a franchise quarterback who the NFL propaganda have been trying to tell me is the guy for a few years now, if only he could stay upright, if only they could block for him, if only he could be healthy. If all those things could happen, he'll just really be the best quarterback in the league. I keep being told. So I suspect that we in Cincinnati are buying that narrative, and so we're going to go get him a lineman with some real caliber here, and I love to pronounce this name correctly, but I will not. Francis Muagoa.
You're close. I think it's Maligoa. So you got close.
Give me that guy.
Miami offensive tackle. Again, like the top of this draft, him and Fano might end up playing guard eventually. The true left tackle is Freeling, who's not really ready quite yet to be an impact player, in my opinion. And you have some other guys, obviously, other positions. So it's interesting to see him first off the board for offensive line. We got one in the top 10. Some mock drafts coming out have no offensive line in the top 10. So
the Bengals need to think about it.
I actually think this is. I think I've seen 0 mock drafts that have the Bengals taking offensive. I like this. I wonder what
Gabe is playing Angry Birds here in his lap. There's nothing related to football on his phone. There's no notes going on.
That doesn't really surprise me.
So are the Browns.
To be honest,
Bengals during the draft.
That's not really surprising to me.
This is what do you call it in acting? Method acting. I am method acting the way the Bengals will behave in this draft. When we get to a real team like the Ravens, I'll start to button it up.
When Gabe got the list of what he was picking, I know you just searched the 4 teams out. That was it. That's what I love most.
I am now finding out I will next be on the clock with the Ravens, and I look forward to it. But for now, Matt is the
curious,
Dolphins.
So pick 6 through 10. So you can get right now in DraftKings, you can get Maui Noga 14-1 through the Bengals pick. So interesting there. I don't think people have the Bengals. I might put some money in that. Miami Dolphins next, Matt. You have the Dolphins. They need one position only at pick 11, in my opinion.
Yeah. Question is, I am assuming you're thinking wide receiver here. And
or
the question would be, which one do I want? I mean, I got to be honest. I was also thinking about Spencer Fano here.
Fano, yeah.
I was thinking, whatever they are doing, they need to protect their investment at quarterback and Malik Willis. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm a Jordan Tyson guy. Like, I just feel like I'm going to go with Jordan Tyson here. I'm going to go a little off the board. I think that Jordan Tyson has the highest upside, and the Dolphins are in this spot where they kind of need a splash and swing for the fences. This Mekhi Lemon thing, like, I just think that people are being a little bit oversimplistic of saying, like, cool, like, he's Amon-Ra St. Brown. He played at USC. Like, they kind of look the same. Like, this worked with Smith and Jigba. With Jordan Tyson, you see it. It's the injury stuff, which, like, the Dolphins aren't trying to be great this year. He's still young. Like, I feel like he'll be able to bounce back from some of that, or you could talk yourself into him recovering. So I'm going to take the receiver with the bigger upside here and be a little controversial. What do you guys think?
I think he's the best wide receiver who can stay healthy. He's had 3 injuries and 3. That's a problem. Knee, hamstring. I think he had a collarbone. He's 6'2", I believe it is. Catches everything. Like a great player if he's healthy. The problem, he just hasn't been healthy. So people have mocked him to the Chiefs too. I don't have the health issue. The Chiefs just don't draft guys with multiple injuries. But you're right about the Dolphins, right? Like, we're new staff there. We're not winning this year. Let's take a stab at. I think he's the best wide receiver if healthy in this draft. I think he's better than Tate. But again, health matters a lot here. Hank, you have the Dallas Cowboys. You refused to trade earlier, so you're sticking at 12. What do you got?
I think so. quickly on the Dolphins also, there's something to be said for they have 6 picks in the first 100. Like they can take an upside shot there. The Cowboys also
Absolutely.
2 picks in this first round. So I think they might be more willing to take a player who's a little riskier potentially. So I'm going to go Jermod McCoy here, the cornerback out of Tennessee I mentioned earlier.
Nice.
I do think, though, the Cowboys last year picked Sharon Ravel, who was another cornerback coming off an injury. So it didn't really work out for them. Maybe they would be hesitant to do it again. But the Cowboys in years past, they just take their guys. Like, taking Booker last year in the first round was a guy, they took him higher than a lot of people thought he was going to go. And also their front office, they've been actually very good at scouting and identifying good players. So if they think Jermod is talented, I think they pull the trigger there, even if there's more of a risk.
Back now, I had to beat my dog. Decided he wanted to determine the Cowboys pick. McCoy's good. He was great in 2024. It's that simple. If you feel his knee is healthy, the Cowboys need they need cornerback pass rush, right? You're sitting right here, and you have to choose basically between like a Falk, a Messidor, who's going to be like 26, and McCoy. You're probably going to choose McCoy at this spot. Over 4.5 corners, by the way, is like plus 350 on DraftKings. Might be worth a play. It's maybe hard to find 5, but they list 4 corners as a favorite to go in the first round. If you look at like to be drafted in the first round, the 5th corner is plus 120. So I kind of thought plus 330 didn't make a ton of sense, or plus 350. So that is something I've added to my portfolio. I have the Rams at 13. I've been told the Rams might like Ty Simpson. I'm not drafting Ty Simpson at 13.
Wow.
But I've
Are you one of those guys getting the texts from the agents, Geoff? When you say things like that, we have to question you.
I'm with CAA. That's it. You know my agent. My playing agent.
Hey, man.
My agent now, my broadcast agent has no connections to the NFL draft, but I will forego that, and I will take Lemon from USC, another wide receiver, because guess what? The Rams' best wide receiver is in rehab right now. Okay, the other one's like 35. They need a wide receiver. So give me Lemon here. I am concerned. I'll let Gabe answer this because he is a USC fan on this show. He did struggle a little bit this year against sort of physical cornerbacks and physical defenses. A little concerning for me, but Lemon is the new wide receiver for the Los Angeles Rams.
He didn't really struggle against anyone. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the comp people make because he's a recent smaller guy who catches 10 balls a game. So I get the comp.
I don't like it.
Honestly, the comp that I like better is the role that he will probably play for the Rams if he ends up there, which is more like Cooper Kupp's. The guy he runs great routes, and then when the ball is anywhere in this sort of zone, he comes down with it. Like, he plays a lot bigger than he is, which was Cooper Kupp's thing for his best years. So yeah. I love the pick. I hope he ends up with the Rams. I sure know my kids hope he ends up with the Rams. My turn. I'm Baltimore, right?
Sure, if you say so. You are Baltimore, yes.
This is a time saver because it's real obvious to me what they're going to do. And this is the guy Jeff's been talking about for a full year now. Your boy Sadiq at Oregon is going there because, look, I don't know if people noticed, but Mark Andrews is not the guy he used to be. Isaiah Likely, who occasionally seemed like he could fill the role, is gone. He never really did fill the role. For some reason, Lamar Jackson doesn't like throwing to wide receivers. You can explain that one, Geoff. This is a no-brainer because it's a wide receiver in a tight end's body. And if he somehow was available here, I don't see how they wouldn't do this.
You hit a great touchdown against USC this year. It was really good.
A few people did, Geoff.
I very much enjoyed that. I'm just happy USC is going to be good in like 2032 and all the
just
recruits.
Focus on the question I asked you. Is he a good pay? He's your guy. Yeah. Okay, talk about your team.
I think is very good. He's also blocks well. He's a willing blocker, a little undersized. I do wonder if, because with a new head coach, a defensive guy, that they choose to go trenches or defense here. But you want to help out Lamar. I think a tight end. Look, if you look at the best offense in the NFL, they all have good tight ends. It's like impossible to be a good offense without a good tight end. Sadiq fits that role. So he goes 14 to the Ravens in our mock draft here. Matt, you have the Bucks at 15. What do you got?
This all feels very logical so far. I feel like this is either exactly how it's going to happen or going to look like
there's just
total
less
morons.
offensive linemen than I thought we'd see so far. But that's
Yeah,
just
well, let's change that here because I think the Bucks were very interested in McCoy slipping after losing Jamel Dean in free agency. We were thinking about edge rusher, but I don't really know who would be the right play here.
Messidor or Folk. I mean, those are the two guys
Yeah,
basically
and I
left.
feel like I can get better value by getting the second offensive lineman off the board. So I mean, we have a pretty good solution at tackle. So I think Fano would be my lean, but honestly, like, can I just defer to you here? Should we go guard and take the Penn State guy, or should we take Fano and
Well,
figure out
so
where
they
he can
have
play?
obviously Tristan Wirfs, right? One of the tackles. The thing is that they were just hurt last year, right? At offensive line. I think what you do is you probably take Fano and you can kind of put him anywhere, like you just figure it out later. Where Vega is just playing guard. So Fano to me feels like the pick to make here for the Bucks. I do think that pass rusher, depending on where those guys are graded, will be pretty interesting to take here. The problem is Messidor is just getting super old, right? And Folk is sort of big and long, but just the production wasn't there in college. It's always a question mark about production in college. If you don't have much of it, does that ever translate to the NFL at that position? But Fano is in the books for the Dolphins. I mean, for the Bucks, you're making good time. I like this, guys. Hank, you were up at 16 here. You have the Jets.
Yeah, so the Jets went with Arvell Reese, second overall here, and then I think they brought in 9 free agents on the defensive side of the ball. So probably not going to go back to defense there. I'm looking at, I think I like Vega. I'm going to try it. Vega Iwane, who's the guard from Penn State we've been talking about. Just like very nasty offensive lineman. And then the Jets sneakily last year, it looks like they hit on Armand Membu. Look, Gabe's about to grab the mic again. Looks like they hit on Armand Membu, and then him and Olufashano, like, that's a good tackle pair. And so if you can get Iwane in there, that's like 60% of a very good offensive line if Iwane hits. That feels like the right pick for a team that's building for the future, but also not necessarily trying to compete this year.
I like it. Gabe, how do you feel about your Jets pick so far?
Their quarterback is 15 years removed from when he was supposed to be their big draft pick savior. Let's not spend any more time talking about them. Who cares?
Matt and I have already made an under 5.5 wager on the Jets. That's our number one.
I would have taken under any amount.
Under half.
Under half. Okay, no time spent. Detroit Lions. I'm going with Caden Proctor here, the offensive lineman out of Alabama. He will play tackle or guard for them. He provides them sort of that menacing offensive line personality they like in Detroit. Very, very athletic for his size. I think you kind of just do worry over the years, just making sure that he keeps his body in shape and whatnot. But really, really talented football player. Proctor's a line. It just kind of fits here. So I like this one.
Didn't go for my police academy reference, huh? Nothing there, Geoff?
I just kept talking through. I mean, I got it. I just kept going. I kept pounding through something professional.
I think that one.
I didn't get it.
Out of your depth.
I've seen the movie. We've been over many times. Okay, Devil Wears Prada's out in 2 weeks. That's all my focus has been on for a long time now. Okay, so we're focusing on the important things that matter most in my life, and that is it right now. Police Academy is about the same age as we are, Gabe. It's
exactly the same age. And by the way, if Gutenberg could get himself a cameo in Devil Wears Prada 2, I might watch.
I think his nephew. His nephew was my producer for like 7 years on the radio.
Okay,
we're not. It was a random connection.
Good little data point.
Yeah, random connection there. Minnesota Vikings, Gabe. Here we got.
I don't want to waste time on the Minnesota Vikings. I think, remember they forgot to get their pick in once? I almost forgot to pick for them just now. But I'm going to actually just scanning the little mock draft here to make a kind of wise pick. Geoff, I like the safety out of Oregon. Help me with the pronunciation. I think that's the play. Brian Flores defense. The Vikings are good when their defense is good. I can't figure out what their offense actually is week to week, but if they can hold you to, 20, they got a shot, and that guy seems pretty good.
Well, it's just basically, Harrison Smith is gone. Like, they just need a safety, and Thieneman fits that role.
There you go.
Very fast. He didn't play as fast as he ran, but he's a downhill guy. Covers well, just like a quality pick for the Vikings here at 18 to replace Harrison Smith. Matt, you have the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to do a draft show for the Panthers. I think I'm looking forward to that next week in the facility there. Panthers at 19. What do we got for? What do you got? What do we got?
Interesting. We were definitely eyeing Thieneman there for the Panthers. We were definitely monitoring Sadiq.
I know. Feels like it's interesting for them. Like, what do they do if those the guys we thought are gone?
I feel like what they have to do, at this point, I feel like they have to go offense because they have to find out this year if Bryce Young is really going to be that guy for them. So I think with that in mind, what is going on with Ike Ekwonu? Like, would it make sense for them here to go with someone like Freeling so that they had a little bit of insurance at their tackle position? Because it feels like they could address that here. But I'm not. What's going on with him?
He's come off the injury, right? So it's a matter of just sort of he'd be their insurance policy with Free. So Freeling is out of Georgia. He's the one guy in this draft at left tackle that feels like he can become a premium left tackle. Like Fano's probably not, Manoga's not, Proctor's not, but Freeling is. And I know I saw Dave Canales joke about drafting a wide receiver in the first round again this year. Probably not going to happen. So this makes a ton of sense here to go ahead and take Freeling, who again projects to be like a true left tackle eventually as he recovers from his injury. And obviously the long-term status of him is up in the air. All right, Hank, you have the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, so was also eyeing Thieneman here, who's a guy that I've seen mocked a ton to the Cowboys at 12. So when he started to fall, I got a little excited. With him off the board, I think I'm going to go Keldrick Falk. He's a 6'6", 275 defensive end. It sounds like he doesn't have the most pass rush juice, but the Cowboys have made it clear they don't like pass rushers. They traded away their good pass rusher because they wanted to make their run defense better. And Keldrick Falk is going to stop the run right away. So this is a very Cowboys pick. He's also really young. Was a team captain at Auburn. Like the off the field stuff with him seems like a very high, makes him, in my mind, a very high floor prospect, which maybe counters out the risk they took with Jerron McCoy earlier in this.
I like the take at the Cowboys at that one as a Commanders fan. Falk just look, he's the size is there, right? It's just the production wasn't there this year. And the question becomes obviously like, can you ramp that up? It's certainly obviously possible to do that. He's also super young. I think he's only 21 or 20. So a lot of upside for him. And he pass rush, so makes sense. Pittsburgh here at 21, a lot of choices, right? Offensive line feels like a position here, and does feel like wide receiver is certainly a spot they're going to look. It feels like to me, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, it just feels like Omar Cooper Jr. just feels like a Pittsburgh Steeler when you watch him play football.
That's fun.
So I'm going to take Omar Cooper Jr. here for the Steelers at 21. Give them another weapon for a quarterback they don't have right now. So because I think Aaron Rodgers will eventually come back to Pittsburgh. So Cooper Jr. to Pittsburgh could be Miller, could be another offensive lineman, but I got Cooper Jr. here. Gabe, you're
Ty Simpson spot maybe.
Tiki what?
Could that be a Ty Simpson spot maybe?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they're going to do that again. They're going to draft like they drafted who was it a couple years ago? Kenny Pickett, like the same pick.
Yeah, it might have been the exact same number. I don't know. You're right, but isn't it a little strange that the Steelers once again are like, we think Aaron Rodgers is our quarterback and we have a first round pick and it's April 16th and we still have no idea who our QB1 is.
Because they just refuse to acknowledge that they have to sort of rebuild. Like that's the reason why they have to get bad to do it, and maybe they refuse to do it. New coach certainly feels weird to even say that. All right, Gabe, you're your adopted team now, the Chargers.
Lifelong Chargers fan. It's my honor to pick from my lifelong team. Every April we go through the same process, us Chargers fans. Here's the deal. On paper, the Chargers have what seems like one of the most complete and rounded teams in football. Yep. But they are, apparently their tendons are built a lot like paper. We were missing a lot of guys in a lot of spots and yet still looked pretty good most of the time. So one part of me wants to be a wise ass and just take the best left tackle available like we've been doing. Like I correctly picked last year, the best pick of this experience a year ago was me saying Joe Alt. They'll take him. They need an extra guy. You can never have enough. That turned out to be true. I could do it again right now, but I won't. They don't need an offensive playmaker. I don't think they have to pick line. I don't know what they really need on defense, Geoff. So I'd kind of like to ask for your advice here. Give me a defensive player who fits into what they're trying to do that can fit, reasonably at 22.
Yeah, I like it. The phone a friend here. By the way, Matt behind your back sends me very mean things about Justin Herbert a lot. It's inappropriate.
Not behind my back. He does it right out in front.
You guys work together.
Maybe year 7 will win a playoff game. We'll see. Stupid. It's hard. Sometimes it takes people 7 years if they're great quarterbacks. I understand. He just needs more help, more first round picks in the offensive line. Yeah, great coach. It's fine.
So I think if you're sitting here,
we got more time with our Derwin, right? We don't need a safety. We don't need this kid from Toledo.
I think you draft the 6'6", 330-pound defensive tackle, Caleb Banks out of Florida.
Like that.
Feels like a Harbaugh guy, defensive tackle, just a big old body in the middle of that defense. That's where I think you go here. Not sexy pick, obviously, but just a player who's going to be good in the NFL. All right, Matt, you have the Eagles. You've been trying to pronounce the Arizona State offensive tackle's name now for hours. Is this where he goes?
It's funny. I don't think he does. This
okay.
Is what the Eagles are going to do is our friend Nick Wright calls the Eagles GM PFF Howie, where he looks and he finds the sweetest, sexiest name, and it's just like, yeah. So all the dorks can just go high five each other when the Eagles make another brilliant move. I think that they are going to go with, in this situation, Akeem Mesidor, who is unbelievable when you watch him play across from Ruben Bain. But the only drawback with him is he's 25?
Yeah.
For the Eagles, though, they're trying to win the Super Bowl right now. They just lost Jalen Phillips. Adding him to that defensive line is a freaking nightmare. So I have a feeling they're going to get a really good pick who makes a lot of sense for them, and we're all going to watch them in September and be like, damn it, Howie did it again.
What does he call him again?
PFF Howie.
At least he didn't call him a clown. That was
he did not.
That made quite
members of the Ball family.
That made quite a stir. I don't get people he should not be revoked. He should be revoked from saying things like that on the what's wrong with that? It's a talk show. What do you expect him to say? Nothing. I think it's so sensitive now. Nonetheless, Mesidor would be a much higher draft pick if he wasn't 25. He's a good football player. When you watch him this year in Miami, the speed, the burst, the finish, really good football player, fits sort of what the Eagles want to do. They need pass rush on the edge, right? We know they can rush the ball inside, rush pressure inside. All right, Hank, you have the Browns' second pick here at 24. The Browns went wide receiver at 6. What are they doing here at 24?
So I think consensus is the Browns are going to leave the first round with a receiver and an offensive lineman.
Yes.
Gabe went receiver for them early. We're going offensive lineman here. There's 2 names I have on the board here. I'm going to go with the one that's easier to pronounce, and also the guy he started 54 games in college, and I think what the Browns need is someone who's going to suit up every week. So we're going Blake Miller out of Clemson. Sorry, Max. Geoff, what do we think?
I'm surprised you didn't go Lomu here. Interesting. Here's my only thing with Miller. It's not even his fault, but Clemson has not put offensive linemen into the NFL with any success or regularity. And it's kind of surprising, to be honest with you. And it does worry me when a school just sort of routinely doesn't put guys out at one position. And then, and if they do, they just don't end up being very good. It is kind of, for how good they've been on offense for all these years, they haven't had an offensive tackle drafted. This is Clemson, right? I mean, again, Jackson Carman was a guard in the NFL. I think he played tackle. That's 2021. They don't have any. They have no offensive lineman drafted. It's kind of shocking. It's really, really surprising. But that's my only concern.
One knock on Lomu, the reason I didn't go with him is because one of the games I watched in college this year was when Utah played against Texas Tech, and Lomu had just a really tough day with David Bailey and Romello Height, were the 2 Texas Tech ends. And I think what the Browns need is just steadiness, someone who can stand up against good pass rushers right away. And Lomu might get there, but I'm not sure if he's the most like ready-made prospect on O-line.
No, he needs work. I think he could be really good, but he does need time in the Browns, to your point. Need a guy right now. Miller is more ready now to play. A very smart football player. I have the Bears at 25. I think the Bears would look pass rush here. It does feel like they need some help at safety here. And Thieneman is out. He's gone. And so they draft the kid, McNeil Warren, out of Toledo. Remember, last year they fixed their offense. This year they fixed their defense. That's the way smart organizations do it. Pretty high on the Bears heading into this season. McNeil Warren will join their team at safety here. Gabe, you have the Buffalo Bills. What smart comment do you have for them?
Well, here's the comment I have about the Bills. Maybe you guys can explain this to me. I feel like every single year, especially at my fantasy drafts, somebody tries to convince me that like the Buffalo Bills fledgling rando cobbling together of wide receivers, that there's a 1 and a 2 in there somewhere. And it's always bullshit. Like they're never real. They Keon Coleman, this is the guy. Stop. They don't ever have wide receivers, which tells me either they can't actually have a 1 in the kind of offense they run with Josh Allen, or they just keep on drafting 3s. So who are the guys there? They're going to go in like the 3rd round of my fantasy draft. Who?
Wide receiver?
DJ Moore.
Oh, who they have there right now, correct. Yes.
Khalil Shakir is the guy I was talking about. DJ Moore solved the problem. So we're not going with wide receiver. We can never get enough defense. So I want defense. And appears to me I'm going to go for one of those guys who rushes the quarterback. And I'm looking at, who do I want, Jeff? It's a lot of linemen are my choices here. I
think you could still take a receiver, dude. I love DJ, but they still need a wide receiver.
I think Casey Concepcion would go here if he was available.
The podcaster from The Ringer?
If we want to overrule Gabe here, Matt, should we just overrule Gabe? Should we just take a wide receiver for them?
It's your show.
Does Shea Serrano come with him?
I think we have to. I think they would draft a wide receiver over a defensive lineman right here.
All right, let's go with it. What you said.
Okay, Concepcion, he's in. Is that someone who works at the Ringer? Obviously.
Who's a great podcaster?
Am I supposed to know this person?
I don't know who's supposed to know what here, so I think I'm just going to move on to the San Francisco 49ers, the 27th pick. And we have a clear need in San Francisco with the 49ers. So with the 27th pick, we are selecting Surgeon Neil Elatrash from Cedar Sinai, who will be putting all of our players' limbs back together because we're so near the substation. Welcome to the team, Dr. Elatrash. No, we can't do that, so we're going to think hard about what to do here. I think the 49ers are a weird team because you kind of look at them and you're like, I don't really know what they need outside of physician. You maybe need to replace Trent Williams. You maybe need a guard. I guess you need a safety. I'm not sold on their receivers, but it seems like they are. So I feel like they maybe go with Caleb Lomu, I think, because he could probably kick inside. He could probably kick outside. But I don't know, Jeff. That's 2 Utah offensive linemen in the first round. I can't. Both of them can't be good. What do you think of that choice for them?
I think Lomu is the right choice here. The kid out of Utah. I actually, when I first watched Utah's film, I saw potential in him that was maybe more than Fano. Now there's more work to be done there, but he's sort of the prototypical size of a left tackle, and he won't have to play this year. I mean, presumably, right? Maybe he plays right tackle for a little bit. But I think Lomu is going to be a really good pro. So I like this pick for the Niners. They need this position. Makes a lot of sense for them here. 28 is the Texans, and Hank, you have the Texans.
Yeah. So what the Texans need desperately is offensive line. It's been, I think, 3 years now of them failing to address it properly in the offseason. But you know what I think? I think if they were to draft an offensive lineman, that would give CJ Stroud an excuse. And that would take away CJ Stroud's best excuse. And we don't want that. We want to keep having him fail in the playoffs and then say, but he didn't have a good offensive line, to take Matt's Herbert joke. So I think they're, at this point,
Stroud's won a playoff game.
At this point, I think Peter Woods is the name I'm looking at, just as a big, nasty defensive lineman. He also was projected to be a top 10 pick heading into the year. Clemson had a very disappointing season. It didn't seem like he developed at all, but I think if you watch his very best plays, you can see like a total game-wrecking defensive player there. And I think Houston would be confident in their ability to get the best out of him. And then the other side of this is there is another Clemson defensive lineman named Dexter Lawrence, who didn't really seem to develop at all when he was in college. But then once he got to the pros with the Giants, he became a difference maker right away. So I would maybe take a bet, like Geoff said earlier, on Clemson just doesn't do the best job developing these guys, and take someone who's clearly super talented on that side of the ball. Just keep building on his strength and let CJ Stroud figure it out on his own.
I think that makes a lot of sense for them. Just, sort of best big body right now. I don't think offensive lineman makes sense with where they're at right now. Defensive lineman could make the most sense here. I got the Chiefs here, the last pick of the first. I got two of them. Remember, I think if you told me the Chiefs ended the first round with a pass rusher at 9 and Ruben Bain at corner at 29, be pretty happy about that. I think Colton Hood is the guy, a man cover corner. Chiefs play a ton of man coverage. They want to make sure to be able to pressure. You need to do that with a man coverage player. So Colton Hood from Tennessee, cornerback, is my pick for the Chiefs. Gabe, you have the Denver Broncos. What do we got?
Well, that's a great question, Geoff. I, as a Broncos guy, believe that I have my quarterback, even though he was not there in the most important moment of our recent history. But I'm happy to go into the season with that quarterback. I have a great defense. I think I'd like a playmaker.
Okay.
If for no other reason than to get fantasy players to think about my team ever.
Okay.
So I would like to go for some sort of offensive playmaker, either a receiver or a tight end if I can find one. And, it's been working for me to pass it to you, Geoff.
Yeah.
Who do you like that's left of the wide receivers? It's possible some of the guys that have been taken already might have slid, but give me a guy who can maybe do something special on offense.
It would be Boston if you're drafting wide receiver.
Oh yeah.
So Denzel Boston, big guy, nearly 6'4".
Is that David Boston's kid?
Oh, I never thought about that.
When I saw big-bodied wide receiver, last name Boston, about this many years since David Boston's prime, I thought, gotta be, right?
I don't know.
Denzel Boston, David Boston's son.
This would be
Gemini.
Let's see what we get.
Yeah. But he's now a Denver Bronco, most importantly.
Yeah, and he's going to love it there.
His dad is a football coach named Chris Boston.
Oh, well, okay. Maybe he's his
Close.
nephew or something.
Coach's son. We love a coach's son. Sean
Coach's
Payton,
son's
that
good
feels
fit,
like a
but-
Sean Payton thing.
But honestly, I was not a believer in the Broncos at all, and they had some really bad luck that cost them the end of the year. But Geoff, do you think my logic is sound? Do you think they think, well, we got to win a game in the 30s every now and then. We can't win every game, 17-10.
I think that it's either wide receiver here or linebacker. I feel like the two positions for them.
All right.
If you take wide receiver now, it feels like it's the best time because the next group of wide receivers is not as good as this top group. It sort of ends with, in my opinion, sort of like the Tate, Lemon, Tyson, Concepcion, Boston, Cooper group. There's more ability, in my opinion, to get a linebacker later in the draft. So that makes sense to me. Matt, you have the New England Patriots. What do we got here? Super Bowl losers. Also, we will definitely be on their win total under this season.
Yeah, is there any news about the Patriots lately? I haven't heard much. Well, this is interesting.
They're not doing a press. Their coach is not doing a press conference, so we don't. There's nothing to talk about with the Patriots.
Yeah, well, they still have a need.
Do they?
I think this draft shook out pretty well for them. And I don't know if you saw this, but there was photos of Mike Vrabel embracing someone in Arizona recently. Did you guys hear about this?
I think when we have to talk about the Patriots, we have to embrace our hands from now on the show together.
Yeah, look, it's Max Iannaccio from Arizona State. That's who they're going to pick in the first round. Look, they're holding hands.
All right.
Out of
Iannaccio.
Arizona State, he's just very raw. He'll be good eventually, not right now. And you can let him, kind of sit and learn for a year. Unfortunately, we did not have a podcast last week to discuss the major topics at hand.
No. Very fortunately, we did not have a podcast last week.
That was in Arizona. I don't know if I'm getting enough credit for making this joke and landing the plane.
Why can't Gabe? Why is it uncomfortable if we were talking about this last week? What's the problem with this topic?
Where's the mute button on this thing?
I'm just curious. Like, what's the problem? We could. I mean, no one else wants to talk about it.
That's the reason, Jeff. Because the only way to talk about it would be to say things that no one else is saying. And are we really doing that? We're trying to give people the smartest draft coverage possible.
Well, that was not this week. That was last week. I did talk about it on the radio. The interlocking hand photo is just
the one with Max Iannaccio.
Yes, I mean they're like fully interlocked. I mean it is like an embrace. It's an embrace. Okay. Nonetheless, last pick here.
The champs. Hank with the champs.
What do we got here?
Keeping the mic over there for that whole conversation. The champs, I think
not accidental.
This is kind of a. I think like after you win a Super Bowl, you can afford to get a little crazy. There's a lot of ways you could go. The Seahawks lost some contributors in free agency, so I think looking to replace any of those guys would be a good one. I'm between two here. One thing I want to say first, though, is Seattle currently doesn't really have a running back on their roster. They have an injured Zach Charbonnet, and then I think Emmanuel Wilson is the other guy. That's about it. But there's no running back worth drafting here. We're not reaching 2 rounds ahead for Jadarian Price or whoever you think it is. So not going running back here. I'm between two. There's a guy I like a lot, Avion Terrell from Clemson, little brother of A.J. Terrell. I heard him described as the T.J. Watt to A.J. Terrell's J.J. Watt, a little smaller, not quite the athlete, but still very good football player and someone who's going to be a difference maker. The other guy I like a lot is Malachi Lawrence, who's just, I think he's like a nerd darling. He's an edge rusher out of UCF and just really, really explosive player. And the sort of guy I think could be a good Boye Mafe replacement, who was kind of Seattle's go-to speed rusher last year, and also could be hopefully eventually the heir apparent to DeMarcus Lawrence, who's 33 now and is only getting older. So I'll leave it up to Jeff between Lawrence and Terrell, who you like there. But I don't think there's many bad answers here.
I think it's gonna be Terrell because he's good at like pressuring, and we know Seattle just does a bunch of crazy stuff on defense. I think Terrell would be the guy here, the corner out of Clemson, and that's the end of the mock draft. Best joke of the day was Matt. Matt probably had the best joke. Did 2 of them. I laughed at 2 of them. Gabe went with Police Academy. That was a little old for everyone, but otherwise,
not for Gabe.
We did it. We did a good job here. Is Gabe playing a game on his phone? What is happening over there?
It's Colin Cowherd's TikTok.
I'm producing another show right now, Jeff. I think if we're scoring jokes, I think that Matt missed an opportunity, especially with this foursome, with that Max. Who was the guy you drafted with the second to last pick?
Yeah, not sure.
Did you say Max Emanuelaccio? Is that what you said? Maximum Emanuelaccio? Sounds like a great take show. Maximum Acho.
Next time when I come to LA, guys, we're gonna embrace by holding hands. Okay, that's what friends do. We're gonna have a friendly embrace.
That's what media members and football players who played at one point do. They get together and that's what happens.
They embrace each other with grabbing of each other's hands. In Vegas, Super Bowl in Vegas, Matt. You're probably gonna go this year, I would imagine. We'll embrace hands like that. So
it's in LA. It's in our backyard. It's down.
Oh, it's in LA next year. Oh, yeah. Even better. Oh, so we could do a live podcast that week.
We're planning all sorts of things. We're also having breaking news to the Geoff Schwartz is Smarter Than You podcast listeners. The Ducky Awards, the second annual, will be in person Tuesday, the week of Super Bowl. So, Jeff, you should come present an award.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm down for that. We will have a surprise guest on the show next week and the week after. We've been asking for this. I finally convinced him to do it. I didn't have to bribe him at all, so it's going to happen. My brother will be on next week. I just ruined the surprise. My brother will be on next week. Looking forward to that. And the week after that, we're going to hopefully maybe make a show together in the fall. We'll see how that goes. But tune into that. We'll preview the draft next week. A lot of fun, guys. I got to go coach a 10U softball game.
Hell yeah.
And hopefully get us to 3-3. The old Thunder Bats chugging right along. First game after spring break. Gabe, I got to say, you are a fellow coach. It's very enjoyable to do. I have had good.
I don't know why we're still talking. Get your butt to practice, man. That sounds like the best possible way to spend an afternoon.
I got my new era coaching jacket on, my Cage jacket on, ready to go. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll be back next week with my brother here on Geoff Schwartz Smarter Than You. We'll talk to you guys then. Take care, everybody.
See you, Bells.